Well, hi everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we are live on a Friday afternoon, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And the feeling we're discussing today is the feeling around April Fool's Day. And I know that it's passed a couple of days ago, but I just wanted to make sure that we got a chance to smile a bit, laugh a bit, and enjoy it for what it is. I want to start with a quote by Will Rogers and said, "Everything is funny as long as it's happening to somebody else." And how many of you agree with that? So a very warm welcome to you all. For those of you who are new, Dear Mama Sal is not just me, it's a group of us who get together. Hi, Charlotte, good to see you. Um, and go through life together because life has its ups and downs, and there's nothing like having a little group of friends who care about you enough to hold your hand through the ups and downs. Before we get on to the main part, we're having beautiful weather here in southern British Columbia. It's like spring weather. It's really gorgeous. We're celebrating birthdays this week. For those of you who remember Laurie's life journey, it was her birthday on the 2nd, and of course, Jodie's on the 3rd. So happy birthday, people. Um, yeah, and Charlotte's saying it's wonderful to have a support system. And I think it's really important for us all to have. And how much think about it. How much have you learned just by being part of the group? All right. Um, okay. Um, I've got a stupid pop-up that's come up and it refuses to, okay, you will not beat me. It refuses to go down and it's from Adobe. I'm really quite upset. Um, so now what I'm going to do is to just make a change here. Just pray that I don't lose you all. No, that's good. Okay, I just pulled it away from there. Let's see how we do. All right. um, anyway, rats. I can do this. I will not be beaten by these stupid things. All right, um, so Charlotte's saying it's spring weather in New Brunswick. I know that Jody in New Hampshire is having snow, so it goes to show that um, we just. Oh no, Charlotte's saying slushy snow. Oh, that's what spring winter, not weather. Spring winter. Yes, that's what Jody's been having as well. So totally get that. Um, just want to let you know that I still, for those of you who've been following my journey about my dumpster diving, for those of you who don't know, that's going into my big freezer that I filled up for the pandemic. I wanted to see how long I could go without buying meat this year. I started at the beginning of January and said, I'm not going to buy meat unless I, really have to, or if or if I've got room. And quite honestly, it's already April. I haven't bought meat. Can you believe that? I have not bought meat this year, and I'm still eating very nicely. Thank you. So I thought some of you would be amused by that. Let's get on to some of the fun stuff. Um, I like this. It's a quote by uh, Sidonie Gabrielle Collette, and she said, "You will do foolish things, but do them with enthusiasm." By the way, how many of you actually pranked anybody on April Fool's Day? Did any of you? Did any of you actually do that? Yeah, and Charlotte saying impressive, no meat so far. I want to tell you something that I have. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you. A great pleasure to see you. I was quite surprised that I have been able to do it as well. But it's two things I've noticed. Number one is that I'm eating less and less meat. As you know, I've started to eat fake meat, if you like, and thoroughly enjoying it. Last night I made myself a cottage pie, which is shepherd's pie in America. Um, but it's made with supposed beef, so it would be cottage pie in England, or anybody that understands the difference. Shepherd's pie is actually made with mutton, lamb. Well, not lamb, but mutton. Um, so that's where the difference is. If you happen to know that, if you've had real shepherd's pie as opposed to cottage pie is made with beef. So anyway, and the good news is that I made some with the fake meat last night, um, and what I did was I did, half fake meat, half vegetables, put in some HP sauce, which I love, covered it with mashed potato, and I want to tell you, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I thought, why it's just so easy. You don't have to thaw anything. You just sort of take it out of the packet and add a bit of water. Really. I definitely am not uh, sorry that I started this. And the fake chicken nuggets, awesome. Yeah, get some plum sauce, and you really no way to describe it, quite honestly. All right, so let's see what we've got about April Fools. Jodie's saying, I don't enjoy April Fools at all. I've fallen for too many tricks in the past. I trust nobody now. Yes, in fact, that is one of the quotes that I saw, and maybe it'll come up. But it was about trust nobody, just like every other day of the week. Yeah, you know. But it's like, I don't know about you, but you wake up on April Fool's Day and you start off not trusting people. What a horrible thing to do. But so, Jody, I understand from whence you come, as they say. I understand where you're coming from on this one. Absolutely. All right. So, do any of you have a favorite all-time April Fool's thing that you saw or heard about? If so, type it up. And I'm going to start with probably the best known one, which happened way back in the 50s. And of course, it was the BBC that did it. And I say, of course, because you'll be amazed how many they've done that are just mind blowing. Back in 1957, they, in the middle of a current affairs program, took a clip of the spaghetti harvest that was going on. It was in the middle of a very, you have to understand, it was in the middle of Panorama, which is sort of like 60 Minutes, you know what I mean, in the old days. I mean, the 60 Minutes sort of took over from there. But, it was a serious news program, really. Anyway, so they supposedly had the spaghetti harvest in Switzerland, and the host said, "We're just going to show you some footage," and they showed you some footage of people cutting spaghetti off trees. They literally had taken spaghetti and put them over trees, and they had people harvesting spaghetti. Now, the reason this worked was because back in the 50s, not many people ate spaghetti in those days, right? It was very much a European, sort of Italy thing. It wasn't something that the Brits did. So it was possible to fool the Brits big time because they had no idea that it was made from flour and water. And so they did this whole, 3-minute segment already about the spaghetti harvest. It is the best known prank that done by the media because it fooled everybody, except for those who'd eaten spaghetti and actually knew where it came from. So all credit to the Brits on that one. I was looking at some modern day ones. By the way, did that make any of you laugh? Can you imagine seeing it? And if you want to, just Google it later, the spaghetti harvest, so you can actually see it, and it was wonderful. All right, so Charlotte's saying, I have anxiety to begin with, and I don't want to add any more layers. Yes, I know, and that's why it's difficult, isn't it? All right, so here's the next one. Let me get you to the next one. Yeah, I was looking for a modern one, And Sainsbury's, the English equivalent of Safeway or food store, Trader Joe's, whatever. All right. Safeway actually did an ad and said, for your Easter shopping, we know it's going to, you're going to be getting big things, like hams and turkeys and things. So they did a double-decker shopping cart, literally one cart welded onto another. So you had a full double-decker shopping cart. It went up to, well, if a normal cart comes to here, it was up here, so you could huck things in the top. Thought that was really funny. Krispy Kreme, for those of you who know Krispy Kreme, they were not to be outdone. They told their customers that on today, they just said, they didn't say it was April Fool's Day, they just said today only, we will frost, put a sugar coating on anything you bring in, including pizza. Yes, Charlotte's saying Costco needs double-decker carts. Yeah. So I like that idea. Now, Haagen-Dazs, not to be outdone. I don't know if any of you saw this one, but Haagen-Dazs did an ad in Scotland to let the Scottish people know that they now had Scottish haggis ice cream. And it was beautifully done. It was beautifully done with all the right graphics and everything else. And it was made from local Scottish double cream and specially selected chieftain haggis. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I thought the same thing, but wasn't it clever? So hang on a second. Let me see what else I found, because I found some really great ones. Dulux Paints came up with scented paint. Right? So the little cards you get, that there's color swatch things. They had those, so they were scented, because the paint was supposedly scented as well. So now you could go and get one of those, some of those other things, and you could have naturally fragrant rooms just by painting them. Thought that was clever. I wonder how many people bought into that one. I thought, oh, I like that. I'm laughing because the next one obviously is funny, really funny. There was an ad put up by, let me see who it was put up by. It was a group called a climate protest activist group called Just Stop Oil. All right. So you need to know, they announced that they'd entered into a partnership with the American adhesive manufacturer Gorilla, Gorilla Glue. And the chief executive of Gorilla Glue said, it's for from gluing roads or gluing to roads or government departments. Our increasingly strong range of polyurethane epoxies will keep environmental defenders in place for longer. Gorilla Glue's got a sense of humor. Who knew? I like that. Now, this one, I think you had to see to believe, but I want you to use your imagination. There was a British morning TV show, sort of typical thing with a couple of hosts and everything. And they were interviewing a lady who brought in a vase or vase, depending where you live, a vase that had cost her £1.50. Okay. And it was sort of like an Antiques Roadshow moment, because she had found out it actually was an original something or other, and it was actually worth over £30,000. So have you got that in your mind, that picture? So they had it on a pedestal, which, it would be, and they were busy talking to it. Now, obviously, one host knew about this, the other one didn't, because the one host intentionally had his elbow out, right, like this, and turned, and the vase fell. The other host, I wish you could have, it was really funny to watch the other host just go, they just dropped 30,000 on the floor. Yeah. And it was fun to see. And I thought you guys did you all imagine that one? And not to be, I just thought that, it's not just the Brits that do these sort of things. So let's find some other ones here. I found one in France. Apparently in 1986, Le Parisien said that the Eiffel Tower was going to be dismantled and rebuilt inside a new Euro Disney park. Can you imagine what the French did about that? They had a little conniption on that one. In Norway, in 1987, after reading that the government was planning to distribute 10,000 liters of wine confiscated from a whole lot of smugglers, hundreds of citizens turned up carrying empty bottles and buckets. They were bitterly disappointed, I'm sure. Again in Britain, because they love it, and again the BBC, because it's so good at it. In 1980, the BBC, in a newscast, announced that Big Ben, the famous iconic tower, Tower of London, Big Ben clock, it was they were going to go under a facelift, and what they were going to do was to turn the clock digital. So take away the actual clock and then put a digital timer up there. I want to tell you, apparently it caused absolute havoc. The Brits forgot it was April Fool's Day, and they, in droves, phoned to complain. And so, I just thought that was beautiful. You can imagine that one happening. I wonder who thought of that one. Now, Canada, also not to be outdone, in 2008, one of our carriers called WestJet, some of you might know WestJet, they advertised its overhead cabin, cabin bins, where you put the hand luggage, among the most spacious of any airline. And they said they would charge passengers an extra $12 to use these as sleeper cabins. I remember that one. Yeah, that was great fun. And in Germany, if you can believe it, even BMW has a sense of humor. I love this. In Germany, in 2009, BMW ran an ad promoting its new magnetic toe technology. This invention enabled drivers to turn on their engine and get a free ride by locking onto the car in front of them by a magnetic beam. And people thought it was for real. So there we go. I hope that helps some of you brighten up your day. I had fun sourcing that lot out. And Jody, thank you for talking to me about April Fools, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have thought to do a broadcast around them. So I hope you enjoyed those. We'll carry on with some of the quotes. Let me just... Winston Churchill said, "The greatest lesson in life is to know that even fools are right sometimes." All right, moving on. If any of you want to know about the oral surgery, ask your questions now. For those of you who don't know, I've been off broadcasting for a couple of weeks because I had oral surgery. And I actually could have come back last week, but it was Easter, and I thought, no, let everybody enjoy Easter, and then we'll come back after Easter. But literally, I recovered so quickly. It was mind-blowing. Yeah, Charlotte's saying it's true. Fools have great minds, no matter how wacky. Yeah. And, so to me, it was just like, it was an incredible experience. First of all, the oral surgery that I went to, from the moment I first contacted them, right the way through to the time that I left, having had the surgery, were just the most magical people. Everybody there was just so kind, so considerate, so thoughtful, so caring. I run out of adjectives for these people. Just, it wasn't like you were number 52 of the day or whatever. All right. Um, what For those of you who have not had oral surgery done, that's basically where they inject you with a um, whatever, a drug that puts you under, but just for a very short space of time. You know, it's not like a real anesthetic. It is like a mild one. Now, I don't know about you, but two things come to my mind whenever I have to go under an anesthetic of any sort. Number one is the King of Pop, and he was injected with that sort of stuff and died. And number two is Joan Rivers. So, uh, it's like people said to me, "Oh, don't think like that." I said, "Why not?" I'm certain people were telling Joan Rivers not to think like that, but she never made it out of that operation. You see, you never really know, right? And so, was I a little bit apprehensive? You bet. But bless his heart, Dougie came with me because I wasn't allowed to be on my own. I had to have a responsible adult, and I don't know too many responsible ones, but I guess Dougie is one. And he was very kind and did that. Anyway, so the first thing that happened was, I'm not allowed, or it's very difficult to get injections into my arms here, where elbows, where people normally have things injected. So and I'm not allowed to have anything in my right hand because of my mastectomy. Very complicated, or rather that they took the lymph nodes, so they don't want you taking your blood pressure or having blood drawn from here. So it was my left hand, and my left hand is not very good for um, veins. And the first time he tried to get it, and it failed, and it bled. And the reason I know it bled was the size of the bruise I had afterwards. Anyway, but luckily, by the way, that is fairly painful for those of you who know. You'll know what I'm talking about. But the second time he went in, he got it, and that was fine. And quite honestly, I was aware of the first, he was injecting me with painkillers just in case I came to, I guess. What do you call it? An anesthetic into my gums. Um, but the next thing I knew, I was looking at the same lady I had looked at while he was injecting me, and she said, "It's all over, Sal." And I went, "Huh?" And she said, "No, it's all over." Um, and they spent a little bit of time sort of just letting me come to and so forth. They didn't move me. They just talked to me for a while, make sure I was compos mentis. Hi, Sandy. Good to see you. And then um, I got up and I walked out and paid the bill, and Doug brought me home and stayed with me overnight, because that was the whole thing. They want you to have somebody with you overnight just in case, anything goes wrong. And that was it. It really was amazing, quite honestly. Now, the first, and the other thing they did is after they'd done the operation, they immediately put in the false tooth that I've now got here. Okay, it is a false tooth. And it's on a plate. So now the thing that I had to learn was how to talk with the plate in my mouth and how to eat with the plate in my mouth. And I want to tell you something. You think that would be fairly easy, but remember, the eating became really difficult. No, Charlotte's saying, did I get a crown? No, I had my last four molar type teeth removed. So I now have no teeth from here back, no teeth at all. And now I have to wait, Charlotte, for 3 or 4 months for all the tissue and everything and jawbone and everything to mend so that I can then get fitted for dentures. All right. So they need me to wait as long as possible before having that done, because the longer I wait, the more settled my jawline will be. Does that make sense? So yeah, four teeth. I had one, two, three, four. Now, what I want you to imagine is eating without any molars, without any teeth past here. Now you're going, you eat like a rabbit. Now I need you to remember I've got an overbite. I got an overbite. Oh, Charlotte's saying my jaw is in pain just thinking about it. Well, actually, it was funnily enough not nearly as painful as you would think. The one thing I learned from my mastectomy is keep ahead of the pain. All right. So even though they said, take some Advil before you go, in other words, an hour before I actually, as I left home, they said take some Advil then. I already take Tylenol for arthritis, but they said add on to that some Advil. What I did is for the first 48 hours, I took Advil or Tylenol every 4 hours. I wanted to keep ahead of any pain. And after 48 hours, when I say every 4 hours, not while I slept, obviously. Um, but the funny thing was that after 48 hours, I then dropped the Advil to see if I was okay with just the Tylenol, which I normally take, and I was fine. So there was no pain. I can honestly tell you that, except to my ego. And what I had to do was learn how to eat food. So the first thing is you don't realize how you eat food until you don't have those teeth. And the first time I tried to eat, yeah, and the wallet, yes, you're quite right, Charlotte, because I don't have a dental insurance. Anyway, so the first thing that are any of you guys interested in this, or should I just shut up? Because it was a fascinating process that I went through. Um, without thinking, I knew that they told me that for the first 48 hours to eat, you know, applesauce and jello and stuff. So I did. And then after that, I thought, I wonder if I can, I wonder if I can eat. I must have tried a pita because I remember that I did it wrong, and the tooth came out with the plate, and I had a mouthful of pita and denture stuff. I want to tell you, there was just like this moment where you're going, do not chew now. Whatever you, and do not swallow now. It was so funny. I'm going, wait a minute, I've got to work this out for a second. Anyway, I now have to tell you that I am 2 weeks past that, and I can eat my pita quite happily. You have to learn how to eat everything again, all right? Because you're using different teeth. And so what I did is every day I added one more thing. Let me today practice eating so-and-so. All right. Now, obviously, something like cottage pie is easy because it's soft, but it's where you have to actually bite, where you have to think twice or three times. So the good news is that I've managed it, and I'm very happy with what I've managed to do. Um, so um, I did so well testing different foods and learning how to eat them that on Easter Monday, I went to my neighbor, who very kindly invited me for a killer bogle game and then dinner. And I had a full Easter dinner with roast turkey, with mashed potato, obviously, with all the vegetables, with all the desserts, because she always makes incredible desserts. Had all of that without any trouble at all. How about that? Um, so I think, yes, Charlotte, you're right. What happens is that you start off um, mindlessly eating because you've never had to think about eating, all right? And then, when you end up with a mouthful of dental plate and food, you realize, no, I've got to do this a different way. And the other thing is, I've had strawberries and lots of things that they said would be a problem. And I have to say that they have really made this what they call a flip tooth They've really made it well, because I think I've only had one thing where I had to go and wash it out because something got caught underneath it. And I'm not joking. For all the time, that's 2 weeks. I think once I've had to go and take it out and rinse it because something got caught underneath it. That's a pretty well made denture thing. So in a way, the easiest way I can describe it is, I basically eat like a rabbit. I'm eating with these two teeth, mostly. Occasionally over here, and that's it. So am I grateful for all of that? Yes. I'm very grateful that I spent the money to have the tooth made, because otherwise, I would look like a crone and I probably wouldn't want to do any broadcasts. So that would disrupt my life as I knew it. So the question is, what have I been doing for 2 weeks? Well, it's been like a vacation. Now, those of you who know me well, you probably know I've been creating, right? And so I thought I'd show you some of the things I've been creating while I've been doing that. First of all, I thought I'd show you my new soap. Jody, I think this one was thanks to you. I believe you said I should make a caramel macchiato soap. Now, let me get it out of here so you can see it. Anyway, there it is. And it's a shampoo body bar type soap. Yeah, you can do either with it. But inside, it has it has this layer or layers here of real coffee. And I also added caramel flavoring to it. So it smells just like a caramel macchiato. So thank you, Jody. And it's already, one bar has already gone to a friend of Ciora's, with the possibility of him adding it to his website. I will brand it on his name, but I will make it. So thank you, Jody. Doesn't it look pretty? Yeah, smells wonderful. Okay, so that's one thing. Oh, by the way, just while I think about it, did any of you hear about the fact that Donald Trump lost $1 billion overnight last week? And did any of you wonder how did he do that? If so, I've got a visual for you. So because I know that a lot of people don't understand how that works, but I thought I would show you how it is possible. So if any of you are interested to see that visual, speak now or forever hold your peace. Mm-hmm. Dum, 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 dum. Okay. I obviously made some Easter cards. Okay, we'll show you. So I made some Easter cards, and I will show you later. I also made some Mother's Day cards. Isn't that beautiful? So I was happy with that. Jody, okay. So let me try and show you this in stages. I can do this. Okay, so if you can imagine, the stock, all right, launched a couple of weeks ago. It launched down here at around $40 a share. Can you see that? Got that? Then they promoted it like mad, and I've got to do this in stages because of what really happened. You have to see it in its in stages. Then within about a couple of days, it bounced a bit. Can you see that? It was sort of here, and then it was here, and then it dropped down, and then it went up, and then some people thought, oh, that's a good price, so then they sold. All right, so it ended up back here again, back on the 35 bucks a share. Got that idea? However, then Mr. Trump and by the way, the people buying it at that stage were mostly investors, all right? But then what happened was um, he promotes the hell out of it to his followers, and look what happened to the stock. Can you see that? It went from 35 bucks all the way up to just over 65. Now, if you bought down here and the stock jumped all the way up to 65, what does greed tell you to do? One of two things. You either say, I need you to take my money and run, or I'm going to hold on. How many people, if you knew what, seriously, what are the chances of that staying that high? You probably would reckon that, okay, what it's going to do is not, you can see that it dropped back a bit. Okay. By then, once it dropped back a bit like that, people got scared. And so if you didn't understand that stocks are about the long term, not the short term, if you remember I think it was Facebook when it launched was 34. I don't know what. Jody, could you see what the stock price is on Facebook today? Anyway. Oh, wait, Jody. Jody, wait, just so you can see this. So this is what happened the next day or the following days. And this is where it is now, back to just about where it started. And that is how you lose $1 billion. Because who is the major shareholder? I think he has about 60% of the shares. So he took the loss. Now, my little mind, how many of you are grateful to see the graphic? Okay. Does it make more sense when you see what happened? Okay. Now, my question is, who sold? And what I wanted to know, did Trump sell? Maybe Facebook is at 525 bucks and 78 cents. It started at 34, Jody. Isn't that amazing? And can you imagine if you had bought Amazon shares way back when and never sold them, or Apple shares and never sold them? Yeah. So, but we don't, of course. The thing doubles and you sell. To make my profit and run. That's what it's all about. But it is amazing to see. My question is, if Truth Social lost $1 billion, that I understand. But what if Trump sold? What if Trump bought what if he bought at 42, pushed the stock right up to, and he and his followers pushed the stock right up to 65. What if Trump then sold? Think about that. Because if he bought the shares to lose money, which you can do, all right, you can either buy stocks that you think are going to make money, or you buy the ones that you think are going to drop. What if right up there he put another $1 billion in or whatever, and then rode it on the way down? To me, he's that smart. I think he might have done it. He and his cronies. And now the question is, was there insider trading? Yeah, no comment. Max Eastman said, it's the ability to take a joke, not to make one, that proves you have a sense of humor. Do you know anybody who cannot take a joke, cannot make a fool of themselves? Yes, the gentleman we've just been talking about would be one. He refused to do the president's dinner or whatever. He just doesn't like to be made fun of. But it's I guess having a sense of humor isn't the only quality one should have, but it is an interesting one. I love all the presidents who allowed the comics to roast them. I think it's shows, and some of them were pretty nasty things, but it's what everybody was thinking anyway. So you might as well get it out in the open and laugh about it, right? Um, so yes, the Amazon IPO was $18 a shares. Jody, they're currently at 184 because they dropped recently quite dramatically. Did you know that? It was way higher than that. It dropped this week for some reason that I can't remember what it was. So even after the drop, it's worth 184, right? Make investors out of us all yet, right? So my whole thing about having a sense of humor is, how many of you think things are funny when you're fooling somebody else, but don't think it's so funny when somebody fools you? And that's the main thing to remember. If you can't take a joke, don't prank people. And it's really important for you to understand that reality, all right? Um, Jack Handy said, I hope life isn't a big joke because I don't get it. Bill Crosby, I don't normally quote him. As you can tell, it's difficult for me to even mention that man's name. A word to the wise ain't necessary. It's stupid ones that need advice. Word to the wise is not necessary. It's the stupid ones who need advice. Well, I think you're pretty stupid. George Carlin managed to say a whole joke without swearing, and he said, have you ever noticed that anybody driving slower than you is an idiot, and anybody driving faster than you is a maniac? Now that is so true, isn't it? So, you look at this reality of ours and you go, let me work on my flexibility about being made a fool of. I've never had a major problem about being made a fool of. I always say to people, when I was on stage as a performer, as a professional speaker, um, I said to people, my life changed the day that I realized not that, well, I was so scared early on in my life about people laughing at me. Do you know what I mean? And I said, as I started to speak, I realized that the more people laughed, the more money I made. And so I learned to have a very self-deprecating sort of humor, um, which people apparently enjoyed because I kept getting booked. So, you think about that. It's the ability to have people laugh at you that is a very interesting character trait. And yet, I believe that along with dentists, comedians are some of the the biggest group, shall I say, that commit suicide. Dentists, I can understand, but comedians, and the reason is that so many comedians are actually not happy people. All right. The only way they get to laugh is when they're on stage, and when they're off stage, they're not really very happy people at all. I thought that was an interesting thing. I thought I saw one thing where it said the ideal day to propose is on April Fool's Day, because if she or he says yes on April Fool's Day, then you've got a memory. Nobody's ever going to forget your wedding anniversary, or the date you proposed. But if she or he says no, you get to say April Fool's. I thought that was quite clever. um, I, I I used to do a lot of pranks on people. I don't anymore, I must admit. Anyway, good news for you. Just to let you know that Benji is coming to visit me tomorrow, and he probably will bring a couple of the children. And so I actually have been aware that that might happen. So I've been buying little things for to entertain children, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not sure which children he will bring with him. You know, he always sort of last time he bought the two smallest ones, but we will see which ones. Now, I thought you would laugh about this. Being Benji, he said, you know, he's going to Costco to buy food for the family, and he said, may I buy some food for you? And you know, you want to say no, but it's Benji. You're insane to say no. So I said, sure, you know, bring some things that we can nibble on. So then he said, shall I bring a steak as well? And I said, no, I haven't learned to do that yet. And, you know, but thank you. And I walked away from the computer and then I turned around and I went back and typed, am I insane or what? Benji is offering to buy me steak. And I'm saying no. Bring steak, I will learn. But you can understand, you know, my instant reaction was no, I haven't learned to eat steak yet. And I'm going, let him bring good steak, because you know he brings very good steak. But the best steak you can eat is the sort of steak that he brings. And, you know, I'm going, yeah, let him bring steak. I don't have to cook it that day. But, you know, it was the way I walked away and I went, what? Stupid move, Sal. So I am doing fine, is what I want to take. By the way, for those of you who want to know how are the extraction sites, they are basically healed. I literally had to, I would think for about 48 hours, I was syringing them. You know, they give you a little syringe with a sort of curved end to it, and you just, you know, rinse out the incision sites very carefully. After, you have to wait about 48 hours to do it so you don't mess with the blood clot. But after that, you know, you do it every time you eat. And I did that for 48 hours. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4 days in. After that, they were so healed that I just haven't bothered to do it anymore because, you know, I, you know, Yvonne said to me, you know, you healed so quickly after the last incision. I have no doubt you will do so again. And I sort of went, yeah, but we're talking 4. And one of them is on my mastectomy side, so that might take longer and everything. The interesting thing is the one that underneath my false tooth, that healed up beautifully as well. It was the last one to heal, but you can understand why. It was sheltered all the time in a way by the false tooth, but it was also being rubbed by the false tooth um, mechanism as well. So, but yeah, it really hasn't caused a problem. Any questions? If so, ask them now. And I thought you would like to see that I am back to normal and that I've had a wonderful vacation. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. Oh, yes, things to show you. Um, I think I've perfected the art of regrowing things. Now, this was a romaine lettuce that I cut off here. All right. So if you can imagine, I cut off the bottom, like there was that much underneath my hand. And then I stuck it in here. Look how it's growing. This is another one that's growing. If I've got this right, I won't have to buy romaine anymore. And this is a leek. Look at the root system on that. Um, Now, I did another experiment because, you know, for me, it's the experiment that makes it fun for me. I put one lettuce leaf in here. Look at this. Can you see this? I've just put this one lettuce leaf. This is it here. And look at it's growing lettuce. This one doesn't look quite as healthy, this one here. But, you know, I'm not going to give up on it yet. This is a carrot. I'm still working on this one. This is some celery growing roots. Okay. This is a carrot. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's growing roots. Now they say that one's stuck. Come on, come out. Here we go. Oh, look at the roots on that. Now they say that it will continue. I've got to cut that a bit because it's too big. You know, if it can't grow this way at all. So I've got to put that in some real earth. But look at the roots on that. Isn't that amazing? Go back in. Go back. Go back there. Then this is celery. Look at the roots. Now, that's not all I've been doing. I don't know if you can, no, you can't see that. I'm still growing microgreens, but this is a celery that grew roots, and now I've got it growing in soil. And, you know, what I do is I want to use the leaves, you know, in cooking. But that one has graduated. Very happy. I've got to show, hang on one second. I can't bring them in to show you, but my peas are already this high. Very exciting. And these are my red lettuce. So, you know, I'm a very happy camper. I love this time of year when I start playing with seedlings. Now you're saying, where are the flowers? Haven't started those yet, but I will. For some reason, because I think most of my garden now is self-sustaining, I will go out in the middle of May and buy my annuals. Because quite honestly, it's easier just to go out and buy the annuals, all right? But what I'm really trying to do, as I think some of you know, is how many of these would I need to be growing, you know, never mind the ones I've got here, to be self-sustaining. That's what I really would love to do, that I didn't have to buy lettuce anymore. How many of you agree with me? You know, that would be wonderful. And just, you know, use my... Now, I won't be able to use the greenhouse window for much longer because lettuce likes it cold. Did you know that? The best time to grow lettuce is February and harvested in April. So mine is a bit behind the 8 ball. But the main thing is to keep it growing somewhere that doesn't get too hot. Now, what doesn't get too hot? Quite honestly, my deck won't get too hot until the midsummer. And then I could grow them inside because my house would be air conditioned. Good thinking. So what I want to do is I've got about 4 trays like this. I want to see whether, how many trays do I need to be able to eat through the summer, where I can just go out and cut some lettuce, bring it back in. I think it's going to be quite a few. But each of these is 2 or 3 plants. So I'm just going to wait for them to get a bit bigger. I just transplanted them into there. Once they grow about double that, I will take them apart again and give them each their own little place to live. The other thing I did, being creative, was I was learning how to make flowers. And they're pretty. What I thought I would do is to make a summer wreath. Okay, so there you go. I'm trying to get it out of the light so you can see it. So I'm thinking, a summer wreath would look really pretty, right? The next thing I'm doing is making some Gerber daisies. Who doesn't like Gerber daisies, right? And then I will hot glue them onto a frame. So very exciting. I'm trying to learn to be more practical, if you like. Yeah, Jodie's saying it must be so satisfying to create flowers like that. Actually, Jodie, it's a bit scary, to be honest, because each has a round, if you can imagine a round like that. And then what you do is you squeeze the living daylights out of them like this. All those rounds are flat, but then you very slowly bend them. Can you imagine that? I wonder if I can make that flat again for you, or more flat anyway. So if you can imagine that they are, I know you're scared I'm going to mess it up, but yeah, it's me. So if you can imagine, actually it makes a very pretty flower like that, doesn't it? Quite like that. But if you can imagine all the layers are flat, all right, Jodie? And then what you do is you take this bit and you pray that you don't mess it up, and you squeeze the heck out of it, right? And then you go the other way and squeeze the heck out of it and keep going around like this. And then till you can grab it like this, and then you sort of grab the whole, and you grab the whole lot, right? And then you end up with that. Now, obviously I can buy some floral wire, and have each on its own thing. But what I really want is just the flowers. So, and this works really well, but it is oversized for the size of these. But I don't think it really matters, do you? Or I could make smaller ones. What do you think? In nature, that would probably be half the size. So, I'm trying to think how many layers I did. Probably about 12 layers, I think, to get that. So, very exciting to do. Very very scary to do, the first one. So yeah, but I'm learning. You know what I'm doing. I'm always pushing the envelope to learn to make something new, because it's so. Each time you learn something new, right, it's a new skill that helps you make another project. In other words, I could now make a shadow box, with roses. Oh, that would look so nice, wouldn't it? Filled with flowers. A shadow box. Make a nice gift. So, and they would never die. Think about that. Shadow box. Deep shadow box. And I could make that out of paper as well. So the other thing is that I thought was important, it's also using up some of my older cardstock. I've got cardstock that's been there for a long time, and I'm going, I need to use that up. And I thought they are all beautiful colors for flowers. So why don't I make flowers out of them? And then I can put them in. I can put them in a Perspex box, just to keep them. Oh, Sandy's saying I was planning something like that for my mom. Yes, I think that would be a really nice thing. Hold on a second, Sandy. Let me get something. I'm thinking, what if they were in one of these? All right, so let me take this one out. Let's have a look. For those of you who don't know, Sandy is very crafty as well, as is Sharon. This is part of my Christmas Village collection. This is the clock tower. By the way, the clock tower is very, very well liked by people. So what do you think? All right, so Sharon's saying, called myself smart. Put broadcast on the TV to get some packing done and ended up, something, Sharon, totally. Why are you packing, Sharon? Yeah, so what do you think? Pretty? And imagine if it was filled. I think it makes... And if you think about it, the bunch of flowers that people buy for Mother's Day. Oh, you're going back to take care of your mum full time? Or just packing to do that visit? Wow, I didn't realize that you had been down there for so long, Sharon. Please keep us informed, honey. I know you think we don't care, but really, um, you know, the work that you are doing to look after your mum, I think is, there's a place in heaven for people like you that give up your life to do that. And imagine, I'm sitting here going, I don't really have that in my life. Do you think Dougie will? It's just like, yeah, an earth angel, absolutely. I totally agree with that. I didn't realize that you were there full time. So you go down there for how long, and then you get 5 days respite every now and then? How often do you get that break? And how do you, Sharon, may I ask you some questions about this? Because I have questions. Thanks, honey. Tell me, Sharon, how do you entertain yourself while you're not looking after your mom? In other words, I'm pretty sure it's a 24/7 type job, but what do you do to decompress? Stress management is what I'm looking at. And the other question I would have, just so I can get a better sense of what you're doing, is How old stroke, how sick is your mom? Oh, she's got puppies. Well, for everybody that knows about puppies, you know, I think they are the greatest stress relief. One of the things I really miss is having a dog with me. And when I move, I'm actually going to move somewhere where I can have a dog. I could have one here, but I don't need any more aggravation here. Touch wood, touch wood. Between us, this is the first March gone that I didn't get a site inspection and you know, every March they've come and complained about something. Petty things. Touch wood, as I did. Didn't happen this year. Oh, okay. So Sharon's saying she's getting better slowly. Losing my dad made her worse. They had been married for 65 years. Yeah. You know, I want to tell you, somebody I know lost their husband, and she's a lot younger. And she's never been the same since, quite honestly. And a different person. Really shifted her mind. And it's just like, it's so sad to see, but it is her reality, because I always say to people, it hurts so much because you loved so much, right? If you hadn't loved them, it wouldn't hurt. What do you think? So Sharon, you play with the puppies and you play with your tablets. So therefore, could you keep us updated a little bit more often? Would that be okay? Because I am pretty certain that there are quite a few of us that would like to know what you're. And do you have any crafts you could be doing down there while you're there? Because I know you love to do crafts. You'll do better. Yeah. I didn't mean that really to be a guilt trip, Sharon, which apparently it was. Sorry, honey, that's not what I meant at all. It just said, yeah, I love to hear from you. And you always make me laugh for some reason. I don't know why. I just find you very amusing. Your name makes me smile whenever I read anything from you. So it's very selfish of me, isn't it? All right, so you've carried some things with you to do, but never got around to doing them. Okay, so then you're taking the wrong hobby, the wrong craft. Okay, you love making people smile. I know that, and it works on me every time. Have you thought about maybe knitting or crocheting or something? Because that's something that's easy to pick up and put down, but you're always working towards the next thing. And it's also something you can do and watch something on your tablet at the same time, because it's mindless work half the time. I'm thinking about something like that is easy to pick up and put down. Don't do anything complicated. Maybe knit, hats for homeless people or something. Just something tells me that would, and pick up the wool at the thrift store and then just, have at it. What do you think? I've got a feeling that being productive, I know that looking after your mum is productive, but on a different level. But I think, doing something that you get achievement other than that would be really good for your mental health. What do you think? And think how many people will smile when they get those beanies, whatever. Used to make hats for the children's hospital. I could do that again. If you could. Have you got the needles? Have you got the wool? Did you hear what I did for the breast cancer clinic, Sharon? You have everything you need. Good. Did you hear what I actually found that the one thing that I really found frustrating when I had the mastectomy was they warn you of everything, but you don't realize that for 2 weeks or more, you're not going to be able to wash your hair. And for some reason, they didn't mention it. And I am one of those people that, I have to wash my hair every few days. So what I did was I tried to get dry shampoo, but I didn't get any that I liked. I had some of that rub it in and leave it on shampoo, but I didn't like that. So then after it was all over and everything, I thought, I can't be the only one that has that problem. So I think I'm going to learn how to make dry shampoo so that every now and then, my hair's looking a bit stringy. I can just, put some in my hair, which I did today, by the way. And, just make my hair look like I care. And once I made my own and it worked, I went, wait a minute. So what I did was I made a dozen lots of dry shampoo and sent it to the cancer clinic and said to my surgeon, when you do that first interview with them, let them know that one of the things that they're going to have a problem with is they're not going to be able to wash their hair for a couple of weeks. So here's some dry shampoo. So you can use it before you have the operation, so you know how to use it, and then enjoy. Anyway, so, and I just said, if you need more, let me know. Yeah. So I'm thinking, and by the way, Sharon, did it cost me money to make? Yes. Did it cost me money to send it there? Yes. Do I care? No. What I'm thinking is my next batch I will send to another cancer clinic somewhere else that does breast cancer stuff, because I know there's a need. So it's just like, it's my gift that I can do. Now, the interesting thing is about the soap is I've been meaning to make this soap that Jody suggested. And I'll put it on the website, Jody, with your name on it. But I've been meaning to make this for a long time, right? And Jody, not only does it smell absolutely, by the way, after you suggested it, I immediately thought about what would I need, and I bought the caramel flavor for it. But it's been sitting waiting for me to get inspired to make soap again. Now, I know this sounds really strange, but at the moment, this bar of soap has gone with, this is going to blow your mind. Hang on a second. If I can find the picture for you. With some beard oil and beard butter. The two top ones are two different beard oils, and I made some beard butter. So if you know anybody who's got a beard, the reason is that Siora's got a friend who is a performer, and he sells a lot of merchandise, and he is known for his incredible beard. And so Siora, being Siora, said, I've got this friend who makes the most incredible things. I'm sure she could make you your own range of beard oils and beard butters. And he said, really? And then what we also did, of course, was to send him, oh, okay, seriously, where's the picture? We know the picture's there somewhere. Hold on. Yep. So we also sent him the picture of all, we sent one bar of soap that showed him how nicely it displays. The reptile on it. I missed a reptile? Okay. All right, everybody. Can you see the reptile? Actually, now that I really look in it, I can see a horse in there. This is like Rochat's stuff. but each one is different. But you see a horse as well, yeah. So, but then I was, Siora came yesterday. She blew her mind. She was so excited. So we're waiting to find out whether he likes it. And if so, I will be making soap for him to brand with his brand, and the beard oils and butters. Isn't that fun? Because I'll be doing what I love, and then he'll be doing what he loves. So keep your fingers crossed. By the way, making the beard oil was incredible. And one thing I heard about the beard butter was that, and I remember Siora talking about it, that some of it, cakes into the beard and, horrible. So what I did was I made one that wouldn't harden at all. And that was very exciting, just to mix, I added aloe vera to it to keep it moist. So it's, you can imagine I was in my element going, what can I add here? Then I put it in the fridge and going, okay, it's just been in the fridge. Is it still malleable? Yes. So if we know it's not going to go hard in the fridge, then it's not going to go hard with somebody wearing it. So that is just, wow, exciting stuff. So as you can see, for the 2 weeks that I haven't seen you, I've been quite busy. Not only have I been, convalescing and healing, but also getting time in Confetti Corner, which I have thoroughly enjoyed. And I think the important thing to all of us, and I've got to remind you all, that creative time is the most. My blood pressure dropped when I was in there. You know what I mean? It's just like, it is the most important thing to do. And that's why I'm thinking, Sharon, that it is really wonderful for you to do something that's pretty mindless, but you can keep going. That's going to make somebody happy. All right. By the way, Sharon, my sister used to make teddy bears for the Children's Hospital. Yeah. Jody's saying, this is like what did I do on my summer vacation presentation? Well, the reason I say that is I think you guys probably had visions of me lying in bed feeling sorry for myself. With my mouth out here. It never happened, people. I came home from the 4 extractions. I talked to Doug for a little bit. When hang on, they did it at 1:15, so we got home about 3, I guess. I suppose we got home about 3 o'clock. Obviously, I wasn't very hungry. I think I made. Oh, I got hungry in the middle of the night. I remember that, and Doug was asleep. Now, Doug sleeps like a log, all right? And I was creeping into my kitchen, trying to find things like applesauce and things that I could eat. Jody's saying, I couldn't believe how active you were after the procedure. Amazing. Jody, I think you've known me long enough and I've been through enough that I am not a good patient. All right? I don't do that well. I don't do the curl up in bed feeling sorry for myself thing. I know that the more I move my body, the more healthy I will be. Now, not to strain it. For example, I did not lean into my, all right, hang on a second. I did not lean into my super deep washing machine. All right, just hold on. But what I did use were my long tongs so I could stay upright. All right. And then like this and grab something and put it into the dryer. Oh my gosh, Sharon saying some days while I'm sitting there, I make dresses for my mum and sister's puppies. What sort of brand are they? So, to me, Jody, it's all an experiment, right? It's like, what can I do without? And then by lunchtime the next day, before lunch, I sent Doug home after I made him breakfast. I made him breakfast the next morning. Um, and he knew better than to stop me. And I sent him home. But what I promised to do was to check in with him, twice a day to make sure that he knew I was okay. I did that for about 3 days, and then it was just like, okay, I'm better now. And I've been out in the garden, digging in the garden, doing all sorts of things. Yeah. White multi-poots, mini Dachshunds, mini daisies, no, mini Dalmatians, mini it's just got DA. So I think Dachshunds is going to be my guess. Sausage dogs. You could have a mini sausage dog. And multi-poos are just, bundle of fluff, right? A bit like Jodie's Eskimo pie thing. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. So hope that you all have a wonderful weekend. I intend to see you Sunday, God willing, and I will continue the saga of updating you. I hope you got a chance to smile a bit. Thank you, Sharon, for coming in and helping us smile even more. That's so kind of you, so selfless of you. And I want to say, Dashwoods. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, got it. Yeah, got it. That's what I thought. My guess was that it was a Dachshund. Yeah. Yeah, autocorrect really has. I didn't. I, I had to think about that for a while. I thought maybe you didn't know how to spell it. I was giving you the credit for that. Yeah, have a wonderful weekend and enjoy it while you can. Who knows if we've got another one in our future. And by the way, Sharon, do what makes you happy. And I think being creative has always made you happy. And that's why I would say, if you haven't been able to be creative, then you're taking the wrong creativity with you. You need something that's easy for you to do while you're talking to your mom or while you are, sitting next to her, whatever you do. That's yes, ma'am. Okay, good. 2x4. Very important for you, Sharon. You're way too creative to sit in your butt doing nothing. You know what I mean? It's like it's not creativity uses your mind. Stop it stagnating. And you can literally do a row and feel good about it, right? And even if it takes you, 2 weeks to to make one, doesn't matter, right? It's not about production line. It's about I'm doing the and each time you knit a stitch, you're one step closer to making somebody smile. And think about that as you're knitting or crocheting, whichever you prefer. All right. I'm so glad you popped in and that we got a chance to have that chat. Jody, um, I know you've had a really tough week of it. I'm so glad that you got the meds back. And also, hi, Jeannie. Good to see you as well. I'm just leaving, so hi and bye to Jeannie. To all of you, thank you so much for all the support. I am so, so grateful for all the support I got from you all. And as I said, I know you probably all thought I was curled up in bed feeling sorry for me. I wasn't really. I just took the chance. I went, hey, I'm on vacation. But for 2 weeks, I don't have to prepare a broadcast. What do I want to do? Confetti corn. And I have the proof of it. Oh, and start playing with seeds. So there we go. We'll see you on Sunday. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you so much, Jody, for being here and looking after me. And for the rest of you, have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you Sunday. Bye-bye for now.